Attorney General and Minister for Economy, Honorable Faiyaz Koya, Chair and Board of Directors of the Consumer Council of Fiji, Chief Executive Officer of the Consumer Council of Fiji, Mrs. Seema Shandil, Director of Financial Intelligence Unit, Mr. Razim Baksh, President of the Fiji Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Nurbano Ali, the Head of Corporate and E-Commerce Vodafone, Mr. Shalendra Prasad, Regional Technical Specialists, United Nations Capital Development Fund, Mr. Ajay Jagannath, Heads of Organizations, distinguished guests, members of the media, Bulavinaka, and a very good morning to all of you. At the outset, ladies and gentlemen, I acknowledge the Consumer Council of Fiji for hosting World Consumer Rights Day every year. By doing so, you're actually leading national efforts in acknowledging this global day. Ladies and gentlemen, consumers are a critical component of any economy. And this year, we're placing special emphasis on fair digital finance. According to Consumer International, by 2024, digital banking consumers are expected to exceed 3.6 billion. In developing countries, digital transactions have actually grown by 70% in 2017 compared to 57% in 2014. And that's a 13% growth in a matter of just 3 years. As individuals change how they spend or send or save their money, effortlessly pay bills, transfer funds, and see their bank statements digitally using the means of a computer or mobile phone, increasing consumer choice and convenience. Whilst digital finance makes banking and payments convenient, there are risks that are associated. Risks that marginalize a group of people or consumers more than it does others. Digital finance, ladies and gentlemen, can increase the likelihood of the most vulnerable being left behind or face fraud, and this isn't uncommon. Ladies and gentlemen, according to the Asian Development Bank, several Pacific Island countries' financial sectors have actually struggled to adapt to digitalization, with only 20% of individuals in these countries having access to a formal financial system for savings. In developing nations such as ours, the expansion of digital financial services has given Fijians, particularly those with traditionally no access to a bank account, access to financial services for the first time. As of December 2020, of the 390,772 mobile money accounts registered, less than 50%, or 43.7%, were actually active. But with technology evolving expeditiously, consumers are still challenged in getting access to digital financial services squarely. What drives this concern is the possibility that mobile banking and the associated technology is outpacing consumer protection procedures within financial services. Ladies and gentlemen, it's easy to forget that services that are now ingrained in the banking fabric, such as ATMs and credit cards, were once considered revolutionary. Financial technology is already shaping sectors of the financial services industry, from wealth management to microfinance. Financial institutions have evolved and are increasingly digitizing transactions to address pressing requirements such as paying for utilities such as water and electricity, or obtaining low-cost wages and social benefits. These opportunities were actually critical during the pandemic's peak in Fiji. Ladies and gentlemen, Fiji is a key facilitator of the digital financial services in the Pacific. And throughout the pandemic, more people have adapted to getting their businesses online or handling day-to-day activities. This includes mobile payments by the Fijian government and FNPF for disbursement of financial assistance. Fijian businesses also embraced e-commerce, online payments, quick response and QR payments, and mobile money to continue operating amidst the pandemic. Remittances through mobile money platforms in 2020 recorded a threefold increase to approximately $82.1 million compared to 2019. This has enabled our businesses, especially MSMEs, to remain afloat. When remittance comes in, particularly in the rural and the maritime areas, Fijians can buy essentials from local stores, thus circulating money in their communities and in the economy. It emerged as a critical avenue for getting financial support across to the people a lot easier. It helped maintain commercial operations despite lockdowns and despite curfews. Ladies and gentlemen, this was actually possible as we are actually focused and established as a well-designed digital infrastructure for financial services. Services that are fair, safe, and inclusive. Services that help close the gender, the income, the education, and degree of urbanization disparities and bring individuals into the formal financial system. With a relatively young population, as policymakers, we have to continue to be being forward-looking. We have already put in place a number of policies and initiatives to harness the potential of digital innovation, to boost public participation, and encourage fair competition and collaboration amongst stakeholders. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a very esteemed group of panelists who I'm sure will share what it means to have fair digital finance. So with those remarks, I wish you all a very, very fruitful and powerful International Day for Consumer Rights.
Bulavinaka, Namaste, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good morning to you all. First of all, I would like to welcome you all to the 2022 World Consumer Rights Day celebrations. Ladies and gentlemen, 60 years ago on 15 March 1962, the late former President of the United States, John F. Kennedy, sent a special message to the US Congress in which he formally addressed the issues of consumer rights. He was the first leader to do so, and as a result, consumer movements all over the world first marked the World Consumer Rights Day in 1963. And now we use the day every year to mobilize international actions on important consumer issues and campaigns. Fiji has always been a staunch promoter of consumer rights, and soon after the basic consumer rights that were enshrined in the Bill of Rights in 1962 in the States, Fiji also formed an independent consumer rights protection and advocacy organization which has today became a household name throughout the nation, the Consumer Council of Fiji. We have all gathered here today due to the very foundation which was laid by John F. Kennedy almost 6 decades ago to celebrate the right of consumers, the single most powerful group in an economy. On this day, the consumer rights groups come together to highlight pressing issues facing consumers globally. This year, the membership organization for consumers groups around the world, the Consumers International, of which the Consumer Council of Fiji is an active and agile member, has selected the theme of fair digital finance. The Council has always been at the forefront of the consumer protection activism since its inception, now turning its attention to digital finance, where there has been an extensive transformation attributed largely to COVID-19 pandemic. Digital technologies are reshaping payments, lending, insurance, and wealth management everywhere, becoming a key enabler for consumers of financial services. It offers new opportunities to vulnerable and underserved consumers where access to financial services were previously limited, a process that COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated. However, while the opportunities presented by DFS has the potential to further transform how consumers and business transact and interact, there remains certain barriers in the adoption and the use of DFS. In line with the international theme, we have now developed, or the Consumer Council have now developed, a local theme called Breaking Barriers in Digital Finance. Ladies and gentlemen, today we will hear from government officials and the help of policy development, business and industry experts, and consumers on how we can work together to break barriers in digital finance.